I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here in Jerusalem at the government press office. I met Mr. Asher Schapiro here last week for that Holocaust remembrance event and the fighting anti-Semitism issues that world leaders were here with. And Mr. Schapiro, it's great to have you join me.
It's good to see you again.
And we talked about your experience and what you have been through, you know, being not only a Holocaust survivor, but Holocaust overcomer. So share with our viewers just a little bit about your experience, as a Holocaust survivor overcomer. And then I know that you wanted to share your vision with President Trump that could be helpful for what he's experiencing.
Certainly, Dr. Harper. It'd be my pleasure to discuss this. Mm-hmm. We kind of got into this last week when nations of the world observed the Shoah, mm-hmm. where 6 million Jews were killed. Mm-hmm. We were fortunate that we escaped that, literally by the skin of our teeth. When Anschluss happened, that was when the Austrians elected to merge with Germany. This was in 1938. Mm-hmm. A number of weeks later, they picked on the small little town that we lived in, Kitzay, which was about 20 kilometers from Vienna, the capital of Austria. A platoon of Nazi soldiers came into town, hung up swastikas, flags flying, and then a couple of nights later, it was Passover Eve, the holiday which we celebrate the redemption of the Jewish people from Egyptian slavery. Mm-hmm. We observed the Seder, the evening special meal dedicated to that event. They knocked down the doors to our apartment and told us we had 10 minutes to leave. Mm-hmm. Subsequent to that, which of course we did, we took nothing with us. Subsequent to that, they made all the men of the community, Jewish men of the community, to march down the main street of Kitzay shouting, "We are Jewish swine." These things continued to happen. And then within a few days, they put us on cattle trucks, took us to the Danube. And it's kind of a complicated, long story. In fact, you may be interested that a book was written about how we escaped. Mm-hmm. It became a bestseller, was a Book of the Month Club selection. Mm-hmm. And we ended up on a coal barge in the middle of the Danube, as neither Czechoslovakia, Hungary, or Austria, which were the three surrounding countries, wanted to assume responsibility. Mm. So the barge was literally in the middle of the Danube. We were on that barge for about 5 months, and due to a lot of political pressure from the Jewish Agency in Israel, the Hebrew Aid Society, Immigrant Aid Society from the United States, and other organizations finally made it possible for us to be interred in it wasn't a concentration camp, but it wasn't too far from that, in Budapest, Hungary, where we were for 13 months. And because my father had a sister living in the States who had access to President Roosevelt, Henry Morgenthau, who was the Secretary of Treasury at the time, they were able to get a law passed allowing 100,000 Jews from Europe to come to the United States. We were fortunate that we were part of that group. Actually, only about 30,000 made it. And we lived in America. It was an incredible reawakening. I was still a young, obviously a very young boy at the time. I was 7 years old. But we had this sense that we're in a country where people are free. The country was developed with the thought every person has a right to be treated with honor, with respect, and as long as they obeyed the laws, they could benefit from the country. There was an incredible sense of freedom. What the forefathers had created, a government by the people and for the people, actually happened. And it was a wonderful experience. And for that we shall ever be grateful to America, to the United States, for not only having saved us, but healed us from a terrible experience which lasted almost close to 2 years. My kids ultimately moved to Israel. They felt that was the homeland of the Jewish people. And based on what had happened during the Second World War, they and many others felt that there was the need for a strong Jewish country that could defend itself and protect its citizens. They all served in the army. Well, when the kids moved here, obviously, we followed them. We have been in Israel now for 25 years and have enjoyed its blessings. And it's actually been wonderful because we now have 14 grandchildren here and 30 plus great-grandchildren. And it's a great blessing from God.
Yes.
But I particularly want to focus, if I may, on the efforts of President Trump in behalf of Israel.
Okay.
As you know, this region of the world is a very complicated one, with each country having its own attitude and wanting to influence the next country. And we live in an area which has many problems. But President Trump saw beyond that and helped to establish the key elements of the country, which was recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, coming here and visiting, implementing the move of the embassy from Tel Aviv. While it's a large city in Israel, it is not the capital. He moved it to Jerusalem. And in general, the positions that he's taken at the United Nations, which have not always been friendly towards Israel, and defending Israel. We shall always be grateful to him. And we hope that we can express that gratefulness in bringing every possible assistance that he win this next election. It's critical. He outlined what he was going to do for the nation at the time he became elected the first president, the first time. And he's actually fulfilled almost all of it. The country's better off than it's ever been economically. People who never had jobs now have jobs. The country's strong. We have the mightiest army in the world now in the United States. And the friendship with Israel has just been incredible in creating a positive sense here in Israel. But if I may humbly suggest another addition to what he's done for the country. And by that I mean for the United States and for Israel. And that is to focus on the revitalization of the spirit of its citizens, to bring about harmony, unity of purpose. You may remember President John Kennedy was able to do that in his election speech, and subsequently he started the Peace Corps. And it just got everybody in the country involved in helping others, working together, a common cause. Today we're in a divisive world, and we need the moral strength to be able to implement that which is right and that which is appropriate. President Trump has done more for Israel than I think any other leader in the world. We shall always be in great debt to him. We share his positions, and I would like to humbly extend to him the blessings that come with good leadership. And may the Lord bless him and keep him. May he show him the correct vision and the ability to implement that vision. And we, on behalf of the Jewish community, the world Jewish community, and the many friends that we have made, like the evangelical community in the United States and other communities, to work towards the end of helping him to achieve what the forefathers, the founding fathers of America dreamt of. A country by the people and for the people, and united. You have my blessings, Mr. Trump, and I hope they come to be realized. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. May God help Israel and America and these very challenging times. So thank you for sharing your story, and encourage people to pray for you, all those that are watching, and for Israel, all of our leaders in America and Israel. And I'm looking forward to hearing some good news.
And Dr. Harper, thank you so much for the opportunity to express what I believe are the feelings of many Israelis, the world Jewish community, and to say thank you to you.
Thank you. It's a blessing to be with you. Thank you.